Your Steve Jones Show podcast is loading now. The Steve Jones Show podcast is sponsored by Purdy Insurance. Visit Purdy Insurance on Market Street in Sunbury or visit online at purdyinsurance.com. Sports talk where your voice counts. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. Now from the Sunbury Motors Studio, here's Steve Jones.
All right, Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf. Great to have you with us today on the show. And today's show is brought to you by the wonderful people at Purdy Insurance. Market Street in Sunbury. Go to purdyinsurance.com. Always great to talk about my golf partners. It's the same way I used to talk about Craig and the Chief. Who was the other guy, Sean, that was in that group?
The former interim.
Well, I can tell you flat out he's an interim golfer. Well,
he would tell you that.
That's never going to change.
Right.
Well, we know his handicap too numerous to mention.
Hey, we've told him constantly on this show, get out there and practice because we're rooting for him. We wanted him to get, make it the best contribution to the team as possible. But what are you gonna do?
Fat chance that'll happen.
Gee, I really didn't want to phrase it that way. All right. Sounds so personal.
Throw him a mulligan.
Okay. So let's get to Purdy Insurance. Auto, home, life, business bundles. They do a great job of finding you the best price. Make sure you're insured. They update the policies. There's ever a claim, they go to work as if it happened to them. There's just really great people who, by the way, also happen to be great professionals. Okay, Purdy Insurance, Market Street in Sunbury. Go to purdyinsurance.com. All right, time now for our play-by-play call of the day. Mill Hall's own Robbie Gould, who wins it for the 49ers.
It's been a hard year for Robbie Gould, to be sure. With all the long snappers, he's had 4 of them. The injury to the quad, but here he goes. They're going to put it right on the 20-yard line. It's a 30-yard field goal to beat the Saints in the Dome. Nelson will snap. Wisnowski will hold. Here's your football game. High snap. Wisnowski got it down. Robbie Gould's kick is good! Robbie Gould beats the New Orleans Saints at the gun.
And the Niners win. All right, so. All right, Johnny Holliday coming up bottom of the hour, which will be, I don't even know if we're going to talk basketball. I have no idea.
You can deal with that when you see him tomorrow.
We might. We might talk about 5,000 other things.
All depends on when he arrives in town. So
Johnny has said many times, and this is a fact, that if we actually lived closer, we'd be constantly doing stuff together. I think the world is he is Johnny Holliday, right? Is one of those guys who's a legend, who just is an awesome dude. So really is.
Oh, I would set the over under times that the two of you would be out golfing. I'd set the over under at 4.5. That could be very, very low, though.
It could be.
How many years has he been announcing?
This is 41st season.
Wow. Not bad.
So I'm the baby at 38.
You're catching up.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about the Steelers. I'll tell you right now, Sean did something I never thought he'd do. I never thought in a million years that you would go out and you would buy a duck call. But you've done it. I got to give you credit. I mean, that's what a real fan does.
He now has rubber duckies in the bathtub.
I will admit, our great friend of the show, Neil Coulong, he was posting pictures on social media on Twitter. He found this really cool picture of a duck, and that's all he posted last night on Twitter, is just to post a picture of the duck. So I copied it, added to my photos on my iPhone, and I was just texting a whole bunch of other Steeler fans last night the picture of the duck. One sent me back, ? And it's like, okay, you're not a real fan. You can turn in your fan card if you don't know what we're talking about. It's like, come on.
Ah, boy,
Yep.
Really it's a bizarre world we live in, guys. All right, so
well, that's in keeping with the Pittsburgh tradition of Franco's Italian army.
Actually, Bob, I almost texted you to that duck photo last night, but you just got a smartphone.
Yeah, I don't
not
know
long ago.
No, and I don't know how to handle it. I have no idea.
Now I got to tell you this story. We got to get to Paul Alexander here in a second.
Right.
This guy says to me, he wanted information about Chris Wheeler so they can invite Chris to be a celebrity at the Coaches versus Cancer golf tournament. So I go into my phone, boom, share contacts, send it to his number. He then comes up to me the next day, I didn't get it. I said, geez, you didn't get it? I'm surprised. Okay. So I go back in my phone, boom, share contact, boom, send it again. So I see him the next day. He says, I didn't get it. I said, I've sent it to you twice. I said, how could you not get it? And he says, well, I have a flip phone. I'm like, oh. Here, I'll write down the number for you. It's like,
the story.
Why do you make me waste my time?
Yes.
You out-teched somebody.
Yes, story of my life on that.
Oh, my goodness. I'm sitting there like, are you kidding me?
I clearly understand that man's pain.
Oh, no, understand my pain, Pally boy. All right, with that, we bring in Paul Alexander from Pittsburgh. I can't believe Duck Mania is taking over, Paulie. Mike Tomlin has had a lot of talent around him for years and may not have received some of the credit he deserves. What kind of coaching job is Mike Tomlin doing this year?
Unbelievable. Absolutely fantastic. When Ben went down and everything seemed to just be going completely ridiculously wrong for the Steelers, people were hoping for 5 wins. Can they maybe scratch out 5 wins? Then it was, they make a trade for Minkah Fitzpatrick.
Yeah.
Oh, the outcry. This team, why would you give up a first-round pick and try to win games now with this team? You don't even have a quarterback. What are you thinking? Well, obviously, we're thinking we have a pretty good defense with, I think, 14 or 15 first-round picks, all told, on that defense, or it just seems that way. And you're now with a quarterback that when they called him to come back, when he did come back, they said, what have you been up to? He goes, well, I was at home on a bender. There's not a lot of guys that have that response. I was at home on a bender. He's now 3-0, the first undrafted rookie to go 3-0 as a starter in the NFL. That's ever.
Yep.
That's even, Keanu Reeves' character in The Replacements. He didn't even do that.
No, he didn't. Yeah.
So
you're right. And he had
an incredible story.
He had Gene Hackman as his head coach.
Yes, he did. He was, I think, undefeated.
Yeah. So
unscored upon.
Yeah, unbelievable. And a few other characters too. All right, now they get to this point with, if we would have talked on September 10th, who would have ever thought on September 10th the 2 big games would be Tennessee, Houston, and Pittsburgh and Buffalo?
Yeah, how about the preseason feel for Buffalo? They're another great story. No one had them penciled in anywhere other than, the normal fodder for the Patriots.
Right.
That's who they are. That's who Miami is. That's who that division is every year. Just the Washington Generals for the Harlem Globetrotter Patriots. That
whole division. They're guaranteed being a minimum of 5-1 before they start the season every year.
Exactly. And they have been. That's been pretty automatic.
Yeah. It's unbelievable.
It's incredible. That's why they play the games. And what I've really discerned and it's something I've preached all along, and, you know, you and I spent a lot of time around Joe Paterno.
Yep.
And people don't realize what a culture and what a locker room and what an attitude and what leadership mean to the ultimate team sport. And Joe Paterno would always say, when my best players are of great moral character
yep.
and the hardest workers, I'm going to win championships,
right.
or at least have an opportunity to. And the guy that always uses the antithesis of that is Carmelo Anthony.
Right.
Because he was always the highest scorer and considered on many of his teams the best player.
Right.
But you know what? He wasn't a hard worker, wasn't a good guy, was a very selfish player. So what he ended up in his trail that he left behind him were fired coaches and fired GMs. So now that the clowns are gone, and granted they were tremendous talent, I don't even really want to, you know, lump Le'Veon Bell into the AB category. He just didn't want to be franchised, and he made a statement.
Right.
He took a stand, and although it was wrong and he got less money, yeah, you know, he didn't really hurt anybody or take anyone down along the way.
Yeah, but he did get suspended a couple of times. I mean,
he did. Yeah, he liked to smoke a little dope. I mean, that was part of his deal.
Sure,
especially on the air, you know, the ride to the airport before a game. That was kind of his routine.
Just trying to relax before the plane ride.
Exactly. He's not a good flyer. To blame a guy. But now you have.
Now your leader's pouncy. What does it tell you that your leader in the locker room's pouncy? What does that tell you?
Yeah. I mean, well, and you saw what he did when, you know, Myles Garrett lost his mind. That's what a leader does. That's what a leader does. He's going to protect his player to the nth degree. And now that the defense is kind of you know what I loved about yesterday, watching the game with some friends, I said the right unit is on the field to preserve the win.
Yep.
If this offense were down right now trying to go get a win, I'm not very optimistic.
Right.
Now with this defense to preserve a win, the right guys are on the field, and they're obviously coaching in that manner. We're not going to take any chances. You know, even though that fake punt was, I almost had a hemorrhage sometime. Now, granted, half the team, you know, had called the punt off, but the punter didn't get the message. He didn't get that memo.
Exactly.
I thought that is the stupidest. I mean, for guy night, we're lumping in there as coach of the year.
Right.
You know, with Baltimore and San Francisco and the job their two respective head coaches are doing, you're lumping Tomlin into that group. If that play would have cost them the game, I'd take him right out of that group. I might even go, if I'm Mark Rooney, I'd go down to the field to fire him. I mean, it's that stupid to me.
Right,
like,
sure.
What are you doing? It made no sense at all on any level, except for the ultimate, you know, element of surprise because of pure stupidity. Like, no one would ever do that.
No. Right.
Of course not.
Not reasonably, no.
No one would ever do that in their right mind.
No.
No one. Not even Rich Kotite would do that. I mean, I can't even think of a worse. I'm just trying to think of the worst names of coaches I can ever throw out there. Okay. I'll throw out a Rich Kotite.
I wouldn't go too far on that. Remember Ray Perillo? Ray was no Rich Kotite fan. Oh, my goodness. I was standing there one day with Joe Paterno, and Ray was going on and on about Rich Kotite. Oh, my goodness. I got to ask you about a guy that has struggled at times, but isn't this year. What has, now obviously other people around him have helped them with this, but what has Bud Dupree suddenly meant?
Well, a lot of people just want to lump it into that whole contract thing. You know, he's finally playing for, you know, his professional future, and I don't buy that.
No, I don't either.
Here's a theory that I subscribe to. Mike Tomlin has officially, although not, you know, you're not going to get a press release or they're not going to make it official, he has officially taken over calling the defense. Keith Butler is now the outside linebackers coach.
Yep.
And Bud Dupree, to use a Mike Tomlinism, was a one-trick pony. He was a speed power rusher to the outside.
Yep.
With no ability to do anything else or no desire to. Right. That was it. So now Keith Butler has taught him a swim move, an up and under move, which he executed perfectly a couple times yesterday. Now he's very difficult to scout. He's very difficult to predict what he's going to do, and they put him on the proper side. So you throw all that together, and you have a guy playing for his professional life who always had a great motor, always had tremendous strength and speed and leverage. Now he's just a much better player, and sometimes you go to that next level, even if you're a first-round pick. The learning curve is different for everybody. And also, when you have a great player on the other side, doesn't that make your job a whole lot easier?
Sure
Are they going to double you, or are they going to double what? Which one are you going to double? Hey, have fun with that. It's the ultimate team game, Steve, as you know. Now you have Minka Fitzpatrick on the back end of that. I mean, Joe Hayden's been a great corner.
Yeah.
But now he looks like he's been, reinvented. I mean, Nelson on the other side. You don't hear his name. Isn't that a great thing as a corner?
I know.
They don't hear your name. That means you're doing your job. You're covering people. They don't want to throw at you. So that's kind of a long-winded to say he's been the beneficiary of some great coaching and being on a great defense.
Well, again, back in mid-September, who would have thought Houston, Tennessee,
the beauty of sports,
Pittsburgh, and Buffalo would be the big games of the weekend, and that's just how it's played out. And it's fun, and it's great for Steeler fans. Are going to be enjoying this. This has got to be a fun ride for Steeler fans because look, when Ben went down, you had no expectations. Now look where you are.
Zero. And that's the way people should approach all things in life. If you go into an event or a day or a job or a relationship with these great expectations, all you're going to be is disappointed. Just let things happen as they should and as they do, and you'll enjoy the ride. And sports is still the only unscripted reality show.
True.
And that's why those casinos in Vegas are so huge, because at the beginning of the year, when you make those season-long bets, the over-under on wins for a team or whatever, who's going to win the con, you don't know. You just don't know. And that's why it's so much fun. And this group is so likable. What a great group of guys, and the likability factor is through the roof. From the duck on down, this is a very likable team full of good guys playing their hearts out that no one gave a chance. I don't even know what the name Kenneth is or what Kareth, but Kareth White. Okay, who are you? And all of a sudden he's running and breaking tackles and running through people. Deontay Johnson taking punts to the house. I mean, who are these people? We don't even know who they are. Who is that guy? Oh, my gosh, he's pretty good. It's a blast.
Paul, always a blast with you, my friend. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Hey, free Penn State to the Rose Bowl, if someone could do that for me.
Well,
No.
I know.
Not happy. I just had to throw that in there.
Appreciate that.
I think you'd rather be in Pasadena, my friend.
Oh, look, everybody would, but you know what? You know me. I'm always the type that I sit there and I say, you know what? Okay. They made the decision.
You already have the two deep down from Memphis, right?
Actually, I'm done. I haven't finished.
I figured that.
Yeah, I do.
Oh, you're the best.
I haven't finished. So.
All right. Hey, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year and all that great stuff.
Merry Christmas. Happy New Year to you. You're the best.
All right, Steve. Take care.
Paul Alexander. Yes, it's true. I actually do have the Memphis chart done. It actually is true.
No surprise from either one of us here, Bob.
No, preparation is always the key. And you've got, let's see, it's the 9th today, and it's on the 28th.
Well, my geometry teacher in high school, geometry and algebra teacher, a portion of the chalkboard was P to the fifth power. Prior preparation prevents poor performance. That was his credit. Yeah. That was his motto. Yep.
It works.
Yeah.
Steve, I was thinking tonight with the Eagles and Giants, there's two guys going somewhat head-to-head, a guy named Miles Sanders and someone named Saquon. You know them better than almost anybody because you've interviewed them so many times, spoken to them. What kind of a matchup do you see tonight with those two?
Well, I think for one thing, Saquon has had to fight through this high ankle sprain. To his credit, he's under the category of the tough patient. Sean Clifford's like this. I'm fine. I'm fine. That's great. I feel like we're in the movie Pretty Woman. That's 3 fines. How about something else?
Yes.
But he's one of those guys that he tells you he's okay. And he'll bust his backside to get back. When maybe he probably needed a couple more weeks, but he thought the team needed him. So he's been playing through, obviously, being hurt. Not injured, but hurt. He still, I think he had 85 yards rushing last week. I think Barkley actually could have a big night tonight. But I can tell you, Miles Sanders could have a really big night because that Giant defense, I mean, it's like our security system in the back office. It's just like, Hey, no matter what we do, the suit keeps coming in.
Yeah.
All right, so
somehow gets through the security.
The Giants' defense is very much like that. You give me an option between the Giants' defense and ADT. I'll take ADT. Back with more in a moment here on News Radio 1070 WKOK. When it comes to car buying, there's the other guy's way, and then there's the SMC way. The other guys force you into a vehicle you really don't want. The Sunbury Motors way lets you take the time you need to browse, ask questions, and take the test drive and think on it. For over 100 years, the Mertz family and all their employees have made your experience the most pleasant one you'll ever have. The other guys won't offer you the best price for your trade, no matter how much they say they will. The SMC way is their promise to provide you with the most money the market shows your vehicle is worth. The SMC way is to offer you all applicable factory rebates on new vehicles and generous discounts. Looking for a pre-owned vehicle? The SMC way checks each vehicle in a 200-mile radius to determine the lowest price, then beat it. It's the lowest price promise, just part of the SMC way. The choice is up to you. The other guy's way or the SMC way. The SMC way wins every time. Sunbury Motors Company in the North 4th Street Auto Plaza, Sunbury, and at sunburymotors.com. Selling more cars and satisfying more customers for over 100 years.
Taking your calls at 800-795-9565. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. Now from the Sunbury Motors Studio, here's Steve Jones.
Today's show brought to you by Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury, Sunbury Motors, Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf, and the Monday edition brought to you by the great people at Purdy Insurance. Market Street in Sunbury. Go to purdyinsurance.com. Auto, home, life, business, bundles, whatever it may be, they'll find you the right insurance, the best price, and then they'll protect that policy for you with updates as you go through your partnership with Purdy Insurance together. Purdy Insurance, Market Street in Sunbury. Go to purdyinsurance.com. The single best thing about Maryland being in the Big Ten is I get to be around Johnny Holliday a lot. And with that, we bring in my good friend, Johnny Holliday. I will claim you as a good friend. You may claim otherwise.
Hold on just a sec. Tell President Trump I'll get back to him. I'm talking to Steve Jones. Yeah, okay, good. Just tell I can't talk to. I'm on with Steve, okay?
Hey, Steve, how you doing?
Doing great.
Good. I tell him not to call when
Yeah.
But he doesn't listen, though. What are you going to do?
Well, he never has.
Well, isn't that the truth? I mean
we were sitting
I have a choice. Do I talk to the president at 1600 or talk to you at whatever spot you are on the dial? I'd rather go with you.
Yeah, I mean, we were having breakfast back in September. He called in the middle of that.
I remember that, and that's when you had that. I don't know if your radio fans and your fan club and all the people that worship you understand about your. How are you feeling anyhow? Because when the check came, you had to go right to the men's room. You had a coughing attack. Has it cleared up at all?
It cleared up the second you said you'd pick it up.
Oh, it's going to go this way, huh? Hey, listen, thanks for good to see you in football, too. That was a great day for us against you guys in football.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. I know. Oh, boy.
It was a nice night, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, but you got a heck of a basketball team, though. I will say that.
How did Penn State lose 2 games, Steve? I mean, I know Ohio State's good, but, I mean, you guys are darn good.
You know what? They actually, believe it or not, it's not the 74. It's the fact Penn State couldn't get any stops. Ohio State was a 1.4 points per possession, and you know that's not how Pat wants to play. Right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and then, of course...
They laid 105 out there on you? Ooh.
Yeah.
How dare they?
Yeah, well, I probably shouldn't have screamed that out at one point. How dare you?
Gee, I'm looking at the schedule. I could hardly wait to. We don't play them until February 23rd. I think we'll be ready by then. No, we got them January 7th, first here. Oh, yeah, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, Penn State's got January 18th.
I'm glad you softened it up for us.
Oh, absolutely. That's I said to Pat later, I said, you know what your mission was? Soften them up.
Oh, man.
Hey, what did the Illinois game mean to actually the growth of the team? Because they got into a dogfight and they won the dog thing.
it means you're darn lucky.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Hey, sometimes that's true.
I think Illinois did everything but win the game. We had the ball. We had possession a total of 27 seconds in that game.
Yeah.
The lead. We had the lead for 27 seconds in that game. That was it. Illinois is, I think, much, much better than their record indicates. And they got a tremendous front line with a couple of guys whose names I still can't pronounce. But that Bianis Felici or
Bianis-Vili. Yeah.
And so is the kid Coffee Coburn. I mean, and Frazier and DeSumo. I mean, they've got a heck of a basketball team. And as Mark Turgeon said, if we play this bad and still able to pull out a win, then that says something about how tough these kids are. But it came down, as you know, just to a couple of big shots, one by Anthony Cowan to put that thing at tied, and then he gets fouled with 2 seconds to go, makes the first one, missed the second one on purpose. They got off a prayer, which I'm thinking if this goes in, this is not good, and it missed badly, and they were able to escape with a win. And another slow start too, Steve. That's been the Achilles heel for this team. Is they've never been able to really get off, except the game at Marquette and the game against Notre Dame. They really got off and they maintained the same level of play, consistency throughout the basketball game. But here was another example the other night. They got off to such a slow start. We're behind by 14 or something like that. And yeah, I know. And one of these days, he's going to catch up with you. That's what Turgeon keeps preaching. It's going to catch up with you. And this was very close to being one of those nights. But you take it. You're 10-0. You go on. And it's always a challenge to come up there, not only to see you and spend time with you, but
that's
a challenge for the basketball team to be able to win up there. Are you aware, and I'm sure you are, because you're a man of stats and a man of stature, we've only won one time up there in State College. One time. And that was in 2015. And I was celebrating my 58th birthday in that particular game. And it was just... we were lucky to win that game, 2015. That's the only time we won.
And in the post game, I was really touched when they said, we won that one for Johnny. I mean,
well, they did. That was Johnny Most, the late broadcaster for the Boston Celtics. It wasn't for Johnny Holliday, I guarantee you that. Man, it's always been as long as I've been doing these games, it's always been a tough place to play. And Pat Chambers does a phenomenal job with that basketball team.
I want to ask you about Anthony Cowan, because you talked about what he did late. Last year when Penn State played at Maryland, Anthony hit the 2 late threes, and one was about a 30-footer. In rhythm, by the way. It was not a lucky shot. It was in rhythm.
Right.
What does it mean that a guy that is a senior with still enough young talent around him that he can take over when Mark needs him?
Well, I think that's the key to this team, really, is Anthony Cowan. Even though he downplays it, he's the kind of kid that doesn't want to hear it. He's not interested in being on the Cousy list for one of the best point guards, not interested in the Oscar Robertson, knowledge this past week. Doesn't care about the MVP of the Orlando Invitational. He just wants to play, and he wants to leave here as one of the guys that they will remember as being one of the all-time great all-around basketball players in the history of this school. And he wants to make a mark his senior year. And you knew when he came back with a different attitude after he tried out some of the camps over the summer at the urging of Coach Turgeon. Go, don't sign with an agent. Go, test the water, see how good you are, and you make the decision. And he came back, he put on some weight. It's all muscle. He's up to like 185 now, and he's chiseled. He's in that weight room, and he is, without any question, the leader of this team. You mentioned he's surrounded by good players. Yeah, Jalen Smith is phenomenal. He's got 5 or 6 double-doubles already, 14 and 13 against Illinois. Wiggins is good. Ayala is good. Morcell is good. The Mitchell twins, Makai and Mikkel, I'm not sure which is which, but they're good too. So he's surrounded by tremendous players, but anytime the game is on the line, I think the opposition knows it, and they're gonna get the ball to Cowan. People are doubling him, playing a triangle and 2. They're playing a box and 1. They're doing everything they can to take him out of it. And Steve, he plays within the game. He doesn't
exactly.
take shots that aren't necessarily bad shots. He just lets the game come to him. And I think that's the biggest improvement he's had from last year to this year. If you look at his stat sheet from the Illinois game, 20 points, 7 rebounds. It was the second leading rebounder in that game. 6 of 7 at the line, 6 assists, 3 steals, only 2 turnovers, and he played the entire 40 minutes. Mm-hmm. That's an MVP player in my book.
And the 6 of 7, keep in mind, was a deliberate miss. That was the one he missed, was a deliberate miss.
Yeah, that's the one he missed. He's shooting like 85%, I think, at the line. He's, without question, the top free throw shooter on the 76%, excuse me. The top free throw shooter on the team, but all these guys have had trouble hitting free throws and 3-pointers as well. That's the only 2 real question marks at the line, and from beyond that 3-point line, it's been less than impressive, and I think what Mark Turgeon expects out of some of these good shooters like Wiggins and Ayala and Anthony Cowan.
Johnny, a year ago when Jalen Smith entered at Maryland, many said he'd be a one-and-done.
Yeah.
Right? And he decides to come back. Number one, how smart was that decision? And second part, how much better is he now because of it?
I think it was a very good decision, Steve. I think, like Anthony, he went and he thought about it and decided, okay, I've still got some things to work on, the outside shot being one of them. He had to work on his free throw shooting as well. He had to put on some additional weight, and he's picked up some pounds. As you'll see tomorrow night, Sticks is up to about 215 or so.
That's not bad.
And he's bulked up. But I think it was the right decision to come back. Now, this year may be a totally different story because he's playing so good, averaging a double-double every game. And he's scoring inside. He's blocking shots. He leads the team with 24 blocks. And I think the extra pounds have really helped him and bang him with some of these big guys. Biashnesvili from Illinois, that kid's like 6'11", and Kofi Coburn was 7 feet tall and goes 290. And Jalen Smith, hung in there with both those guys. So the weight has really helped him. His attitude is he's a totally different player, aggressive-wise, I think, than he was last year. And they need that because they lost Bruno Fernando, who had a good game against you up there the last time we played there. And so he's a marked man too, but so far so good. You win 10 games, you're doing something right.
Last year, a couple of the guys that are starting now had to come off the bench because they had that kind of talent. What kind of bench does Mark have right now? They have a bench that, in your opinion, at this moment is good enough to contribute, keep a lead, or does Mark have to rely a lot on the starters?
Well, I think the guys he relies upon coming off the bench, Dante Scott out of Philadelphia, he was the public school player of the year up there the last 2 years. He's a freshman. Then you got Hakeem Hart. He was the Catholic League player of the year in Philadelphia. He's a freshman. Ricky Lindo Jr., his time has been diminished because of the 2 twins, Mekhi Mitchell and Mikal Mitchell. And Mekhi's getting more time than Mikal is. We think Mekhi's getting more time than Mikal is. But those primarily are his guys off the bench. Dante Scott, Mekhi Mitchell, Hakeem Hart, Ricky Lindo. And from time to time, even Sorrell Smith got in and gave Mark a good bunch of minutes the other day against Illinois, and he's kind of got lost in the shuffle. But I think he's got his rotation down to probably 9 guys that he can count on, maybe 10 if you throw in there Sorrell Smith and Lindo. And I think early in the season he was playing 10 guys, 11, 12, 13, 14 guys. In some games he's got a big roster. And some of the walk-ons have gotten some very important minutes. Reese Mona, a kid that everybody in this team talks about how tough he is in practice, and he drives everybody nuts with his aggressiveness. He's probably the toughest guy in the weight room, has the best bench press of anybody in the team, and he's a walk-on kid. And you got to have guys like that to make the other guys better. And Mark Turgeon's not afraid to put him in a game either. He likes the way this kid plays, aggressive, and he gives him some good minutes when he needs the good minutes. But it's about an 8 or 9 man rotation, basically.
I think it's going to be a heck of a game coming up. I'm looking forward to it, and really looking forward to seeing you, Johnny. Thanks so much for the time, as always, my friend, and you can take the president off hold now.
Is that it? Am I done?
Well, in the contract, I actually went 2 minutes longer than you specified.
Yeah, I know. You know something? I'm lucky I'm not there tonight to have dinner with you, because we would destroy whatever restaurant we're in. Hoping it would be a restaurant you pick out with some kind of a trade deal, and I wouldn't have to pay.
I mean, you have Sonics down there, right?
Yes, we do.
Perfect.
Yeah, I got my roller skates out in the car.
Okay, just so everybody knows, this is the way it always is.
That's right. Can you imagine some diehard sports fan tuning in now? What the heck are they talking about?
What are those two? What did they do? You are the greatest.
Just a couple of guys having a good time who admire each other, that's all.
Exactly. You are the greatest. I can't wait to see you tomorrow.
I can't wait either. I got that $10 voucher in my pocket, too.
Perfect. Oh, and you know what? And you know what I'll do? What? I think I have an extra one.
Okay, that means I can really get a hot dog and a bottle of water, huh?
Okay, you can go insane.
Well, I tried that last year. I said I didn't have a voucher. I said Steve Jones said I could come up here and mention his name. They charged me $40 for 2 hot dogs and a water.
What was your lesson learned there?
Lesson learned: never mention your name inside that building.
Exactly.
Hey, tell Coach Chambers I said hello. I can't wait to see him.
I will. Hey, Johnny, I look forward to seeing you tomorrow night. Appreciate
Steve,
everything.
As always, thanks so much for having me on.
All right, my friend. Oh, my
right.
God. He's the
Take
greatest.
care, bye.
Say it. He is the greatest. We'll come back, wrap it up in a moment on News Radio 1070 WKOK, brought to you by Purdy Insurance. For nearly 100 years, Purdy Insurance has been your locally owned, family-operated source for insurance products. With a staff of over 20 and partnerships with some of the industry's most trusted companies, Purdy has the experience and resources to get the job done. Whether you need personal, home, and auto, or complex business insurance solutions, Purdy will help you navigate through the process. Call today at 570-286-5855. Or better yet, stop in their Sunbury office to see what Purdy Insurance can do for you. Purdy Insurance is the best in the business. Great people who are great professionals. That's Purdy Insurance. Auto, home, life, business, bundles, whatever it may be. Updates of policies. And customer service is number one. All at Purdy Insurance. Market Street in Sunbury. Go to purdyinsurance.com. It's the holidays. Go over to Sunbury Motors. Just go out. You know you want to buy a car. Go ahead, do it. Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf. Santa Claus tonight. Jolly St. Nick is not, by the way, Bob Buhner.
Yeah, no, he's jolly as well.
I'm one of the elves.
Yeah. But the Magic Radio.
Yes.
And when it's interesting because when my brother's on Friday, Sean always introduces it as a tradition unlike any other. In reality, what we do between Thanksgiving and Christmas with Talk to Santa and the Magic Radio, that is a tradition unlike any other. That is such a cool deal. I've talked about it many times. It's what local radio should be. It's just really, really cool. And the kids love it. The parents love it. The parents talk. How many parents did we talk to, Sean, along the way where they talked to the Magic Radio when they were kids?
And during the spring and summer, we would get letters from people that grew up here in the central Susquehanna Valley. They're now out of state, and they listen to the show online, thanks to the app as well. And the great thing is now we have a Talk to Santa portion on our webpage, WKOK.com. We now podcast the show. So just in case you got a close friend of the family, niece, nephew, grandchild, you want to replay those those little appearances on this season's Talk to Senny, you'll be able to do that thanks to our podcast.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Oh boy, yeah. I mean, it was. I'd like to sit down. I said, please stop making me interim.
Well, they don't have a show for Scrooge on WKOK, do they? Oh, just kidding.
Jeez, that's not Bob.
I know.
Okay, I was supposed to say that one.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, Steve, tonight we're going to see Miles and Saquon on, and you can listen to it on Eagle 107.
Well, Eli Manning is starting at quarterback tonight. And I think Matt Leon had it right. He's the wild card. There is nobody out there that knows how well he's going to play.
And I wonder if Daniel's injury, will Eli play a little more here toward the end?
I think Eli is going to take them the rest of the season, it sounds like.
Yeah.
All right. But, you don't know. He could come out and bang, 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 because obviously he knows what he's doing out there. Or he could do what he's been doing, holding the ball a little bit too long and having an offensive line be a sham of itself, and suddenly he can't do anything. You just don't know. And give the Eagles credit. They're as frustrating a team as there is outside of Dallas.
Your station for news, weather, business, and CBS Sports Radio. News Radio 1070 WKOK Sunbury and on WKOK.com.